I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to overcome the dark night of the soul. Now, in my experience, this is not a fun place to be. In fact, it's one of the worst places that I was ever at in my life in terms of emotionally not being connected to a state of being that I wanted to feel. In fact, I was trying to control my state of being and my emotions so much that the opposite happened. And the more that I would try to control how I feel, the less control I had, and things in the external circumstances didn't work for me when I was experiencing the dark night of the soul, and nothing was working for me in the way that my heart actually preferred. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I overcame this, how you can do the same, and how to step back into your power, realizing that you do not need to be in the dark night of the soul, and you can very quickly change your experience and step back into alignment with just a couple of things that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video. So this is going to be, once again, how to overcome the dark night of the soul. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to overcome this, quite honestly, in my experience, repressed state, this depressed state, where the energy is being pulled in, but not in a good way, where you're pulling in what you want, you're pulling in all the things that you do not want. And then it screws your energy system, which you can call it repression or depression or the dark night of the soul. At least in my experience, that's how it felt. The first thing that I want to share with you in terms of how to overcome this is, number one, what worked for me in that moment, which started to move things forward once again, was to surrender to unconditional awareness. Okay, that's the first step to this process. Because typically, what happens is that the reason why we're in this state to begin with is because there's something that we're trying to control. Whether it's your emotional state, oh, I need to control my emotions, right? Whether it's a person in your life, I need to control this person. Whether it's a circumstance, maybe a living situation, maybe you're just trying to control everything, thinking that if I don't control this, I'm not going to find a way to be okay, right? I'm not safe. I need to control, because that's the only way I'm going to feel safe, right? And it's not true. Typically, the opposite is true. When we let go of control, we realize that safety and security is right here, right now, just by being aware, just by being present. That sense of presence is very healing, because you realize you have everything you need in this present moment. Now, depending on how long you've been in this dark night of the soul episode, this phase in your life, it might be very difficult to open your energy field up again to life and to surrender to that awareness. It might be one of the hardest things that you can do. Every part of your being is going to want to say, nope, I don't want to do that. That's wrong. I need to hold on to this. I encourage you, if you're experiencing this, just let it go. Just let it all go. Just let it all go. Because what's happening is that control does not allow us to feel peace. I'm going to say that one more time. Control does not allow us to feel peace. Controlling your emotions, what happens when you try to control your emotions is you have less control over your emotions. That's how it works. Because what's happening is that emotions pop up in your experience, and that is the isness of this moment, right? That is the isness of what is happening in this present moment. And to push that away and say, this shouldn't be happening, is a form of resistance. Now, one powerful communication that I found in my life to help people understand this is that if you're feeling resistance in your body, do not resist the resistance. Do not resist the resistance. The resistance is actually not resistance. The resistance is when you're in resistance to the resistance. That is resistance. Feeling an emotion and allowing it to be there is not resistance. When you have an emotion and you push it away, saying, I shouldn't feel this, and you do everything in your experience to try to control not feeling that, that is a form of resistance. You're basically saying, this exists and this shouldn't be. I don't want to see that. Now, as much as we want to defend why we're right, in terms of why we need to be controlling, what this does is this eats away at you slowly, day by day, minute by minute, month by month. and it sends you deeper and deeper into a repressed state. You keep repressing the emotions. You see, pulling the spiritual energy in is good, but you also want to be giving back the energy, and that's about just holding light. That's what giving is. Giving is actually holding light. That's how you truly give, is you hold light, you hold consciousness, you hold unconditional awareness. Now, if you want to overcome the dark night of the soul, the first step to this process is to surrender to unconditional awareness. Absolutely, that is the first step to this process. You want to completely surrender to unconditional. Just surrender. Just let it all go. Just completely surrender. What's the worst that could happen? Just surrender. Surrender to life. Surrender to God. Surrender to the universe, the higher power. It's just you at a higher level. But at some point, you're going to get to the point where you're realizing you can't take control any longer. It's too much. It's too much to take. Like, there's such a burden to hold on to this sense of, I need to control my experience. It's such a burden. The ego, it's such a burden. Just let it go. Just exhale all the BS and just let it go. Now, the second thing that I want to share with you in this video, in terms of how to overcome the dark night of the soul, is the number 2, start to express instead of repress. Now, pulling the energy in is important in life, of course. But what happens is that when you're not balanced in your energy, and you keep taking and taking and taking and taking, and you're only in the masculine mental mindset of just push, no feelings, doesn't matter how I feel, this is what I have to do, this is what I have to do, push away all the feelings, doesn't matter how I feel, I keep pushing away all the feelings, I have to go in this direction no matter what. That is an overly masculine mindset, which actually leads to repression. You keep pulling and taking and taking, there's no expression, there's no feeling. Now, you could say that expressing is masculine, but it's hard to communicate what I'm trying to say here. But it's about letting in the feelings, letting in the feeling, letting in the gratitude, letting in the emotions. I remember when I was in this phase, I actually was at a workshop, and one of my mentors noticed that I was in this space, and I wasn't willing to admit it at the time. I was completely in denial that I was pushing away my emotions. I called it egotistical, I called it not spiritual, I projected all sorts of ideas and meanings in terms of why I can't feel what I'm feeling, why it's not okay for me to feel what I feel. And something moved, I'm telling you, I kid you not, I don't know what it was, something moved through this guy, the universal gods moved through this mentor, and he grabbed my shoulders and he said, Francis, what about the gratitude? What about the feelings? What about the emotions? What about the love? What about all that? And then it shook up the patterns that I was in. It shook me up. It honestly, you know what it did? It made me mad. It made me angry. But that anger was a trigger to awaken who I really was once again. Because what he did was, he basically, something flowed, what I believe is that the universe flowed through this guy to shake up the patterns. Like, sometimes when you're living in some pattern or loop or doing the same thing again and again and again, sometimes what you can do is just shake your body, dance, shake your body, bring the feelings back, shake up those patterns, right? You want to shake up the patterns because we get stuck in loops. We do the same thing again and again and again and again, and it clearly doesn't work for us. It obviously, from outside meta perspective, is so obviously not working for you or anybody else around you most of the times. Yet the ego and the mind is so persistent to be stuck in this energy. It's a loop, it's a stuckness. The energy gets stuck. And for me, even my physical health got worse and worse and worse. It affected, I had a lot of skin issues, which I still have a little bit, but it's just more and more I'm seeing my health get better and better and better. And it's almost the complete opposite of that downward spiral loop that I was stuck in. And I can honestly see from my personal experience how when we get stuck in this depressive state, it's because we're stuck in some sort of a pattern, some sort of a loop, some sort of we're just repeating the same thing. And oftentimes this comes from not letting in the feelings and not expressing. We're repressing. So I encourage you to express. Start talking to people. Start connecting with people. Start expressing how you feel. Start letting the emotions be expressed. You don't even necessarily have to talk to anybody if you don't feel called to that. Like, I didn't feel called to talk to anybody. In fact, I had to cut out a lot of relationships and just sit with myself. But my form of expression and expressing was to be with the emotions and just let those emotions be expressed into the universe, not even necessarily to people, but even just in the room that I was in, just letting the emotions be felt fully. Let the emotions be expressed out into the universe. Let yourself feel how you feel. That's so key, because if you don't do this, I'm just going to tell you right now, in my experience at least, I don't want to be an authority figure or pretend to be something that I'm not, or pretend to be some noble being that is a teacher that knows it all. But I'm going to tell you that if you want to overcome this, you gotta start to let in the emotions once again. You have to bring back the emotions. You have to bring back the connection to your feelings, because apathy is not a fun place to be. It's one thing to be in fear. It's one thing to be in anger. It's one thing to feel not good, but it's a whole nother level of depression to be in apathy, where you don't even feel anything. And I was in that place, and I'll be honest, it's just not a fun place to be. Any emotion that comes in, you push it away. That's the dark night of the soul. And that's life showing you through intense contrast how that is not a good thing to do for you and and not a good thing to do for yourself and for the people around you. So that when you overcome that, you're like, yeah, I have that reference experience. I'm not going to do that again, right? It just doesn't make sense. Like, it's almost like a point of no return. It's almost like, in my experience, I think life was trying to teach me a lesson to put me in intense misery and suffering for multiple months, just so that I could realize, yeah, that's not a good thing to do, and so that I can help others get through that as well. That's what I believe I experienced that for, so I can have that direct contrast of different states. Because for me, it was a very quick change. It was one day I was repressed, I was depressed, and then in a second, something opened up within me, and I just surrendered. I just totally surrendered. I expanded my awareness. And you might think like, wow, that's an amazing experience. Sounds like so blissful. No, honestly, it was horrible. I felt terrible. I felt negative. I didn't feel how I wanted to felt. My skin and my health was absolutely horrible. I wasn't able to post videos on my channel. Nothing was working for me how I wanted. Yet there was a freedom there because I wasn't controlling anything anymore. And then slowly but surely things got better and better and better. And then it's like, it got so good and got so much better that I was like, oh, let me go back to this old state. And then I was like, wait, this isn't working again. I'm just doing the same thing again. And then I expanded again. And it's like, let's just go back and contract again. And then I was like, again, it's just the same thing, the same patterns happening. So at some point, I played this back and forth of contracting and expanding and contracting and expanding. And I'm just like, contracting, it just makes no sense. So when you start to realize that expressing and expanding is just way more epic than contracting, you just realize that there's a point of no return, and that's how you overcome it. You realize that expressing works better for you and others than repressing. Now, the third and final thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to overcome the dark night of the soul is the number 3, trust yourself and make a change. Make a change. Do something different. Get out of those patterns, because what's keeping you stuck in that dark night of the soul is a persistence to be doing the same energetic patterns again. And from the universe's perspective, the universe does not want any being to be stuck in some same set of programs. It wants you to always be changing your programs. Not that you can't be sort of doing your passions every single day and doing the same thing every single day. As you can see, I post videos every single day and I'm very consistent and I do similar things each day, but I energetically and in the actions that I take always am slightly changing something, not by trying to control the circumstances, by letting my higher self flow through me and trusting myself to make changes, maybe in my diet, maybe in the way that I talk to somebody, maybe in the way that I coach somebody, maybe in the path that I go for a walk, maybe just how I communicate or what I say in a video or the way that I express, right? As you can tell in my videos, I'm very different in each video, and that's because in some videos I was exactly the same for many months because I was in those sort of patterns that I was stuck in. And in other videos, in short amount of times, I'm just always changing and always acting very different. And it's because of that energy difference of one version of me staying stuck in the same patterns, and another version of me is trusting myself to make those changes and to step into to newer versions of myself. And this can be absolutely an amazing experience when you realize that you don't need to be stuck in those same exact patterns again and again and again and again. You don't need to be stuck. You can actually completely overcome all this depression by trusting yourself to make a change. Just change something about your experience. Try different food. Try a different walk. Maybe you need to change your living space. You need to shake up the pattern, like shake up the program, right? Imagine if somebody's to come in and shake you up. It's like, whoa, I was stuck in the dream. You have to wake yourself up from the dream. Like it's a very, you know what it is? This is what a dark night of the soul is. I'll give you my personal explanation of dark night of the soul. It's when the circumstances deceive you and seem very compelling. It pulls you in for the deception. It's like, oh yeah, I need to be focused on the circumstances because that's what's more important than how I feel, right? And then it convinces you. It's a very deceiving thing. And you want to say no to that. No, I am no longer going to allow the circumstances to control my internal state of being. And if I do feel something in the circumstance that I don't want to feel, I allow that to be. But wait, Francis, isn't that still the circumstance controlling you? No, it's not. This is how it works. If you feel an emotion as a result of the circumstances, not controlling that is how you're going to get unaffected by what's happening. When you try to control the emotion, you try to control the feeling because of what's happening, that's when you're in control. Once again, I just want to make that clear. But the key to this final point in this video is to realize that you can trust yourself to make a change. You can trust yourself to do something different. You don't need to be in the same patterns. You're gonna be just fine. Okay, there's always gonna be risks in life. There's always gonna be a level of uncertainty. There's always gonna be a level of, I don't know if I'm making the right choice. But at some point though, you're gonna have to surrender to that and realize that you can either stay stuck in the same patterns, and that's technically just as uncertain. It's technically just as unsafe. It's technically, whatever you're concerned about happening in your life, being in the same patterns usually has a higher probability of those things actually happening when you're stuck in those patterns in comparison to if you were to change something and step into the unknown. It's the tricks of the ego which convince us why maybe doing something different is going to be unsafe and something bad is going to happen, but oftentimes it's the opposite. Most of the times when I do the thing that I was scared to do and expand my comfort zone and get out of my same little tiny patterns, the exact opposite of what I was scared of happening, and things started to move forward for the better. But then when I was scared of changing and staying stuck and staying in these patterns, and I was scared of changing into who I wanted to be, I was just creating the thing and living into the thing that I was scared of happening, and it was happening more and more and more and more. And again, if you're going through this, I want to remind you that this is an incredibly powerful time for you. This is something that you want to actually be thankful for, because it's gonna, on the other side of this, it might not seem like it now, but you're gonna learn so many lessons, and you're gonna realize that the whole time it was there to teach you what not to do, what not to be in, what not to do, how not to live. And that's just as important as knowing what to do. Knowing what not to do and how to be, not necessarily really what to do sometimes, it's the way of being is important to know which ways of being not to be. So it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, I know that to be that way in life is not a good way to be for me and others. But to be in an expansive unconditional awareness where I'm changing the patterns and I'm doing different things, that is a good place to be. Now remember, to conclude this video, if you feel that you need to make a change, then do it. If you don't want to make a change, but you're not noticing anything changing and you're stuck in the dark night of the soul, I encourage you just to make a change anyways. Just do it. Do something different. Be bold. Okay, face your fears. Break yourself out of that pattern. For me, my mentor had to shake me up, and I didn't even wake up out of that loop until months later, and then I thanked him for it after. But you can shake yourself up. Shake yourself up. Dance around. Do a dance. Go for a walk. Do something different that is going to break you out of that program. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. It's also going to be in the comments of this video as well. Also, please hit that like button for me so that more people can get access to this content, because I do believe that every single person on this planet does deserve to know that they are divine creators of their reality, and that they can manifest their reality and do so in the most effortless and easeful way possible. Also, please leave a comment down below if this video was supportive for you in some ways and there's anything you want to share. I read every single comment. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.